attraction can be mysterious at times. Scientists have been trying to uncover what makes girls really attracted to guys, and vice versa. Although every day you see couples who don't seem to fit the pattern, most men want to attract women. They may tell you otherwise, but as men, it's in our nature to want a beautiful woman. Interestingly, most guys will find that attractive girls don't want to be around them until they develop a mindset that they don't need the girl. When it comes to attraction, most of the time, men are simple. Men are very visual and, at a primal level, most of us desire a girl with a slim, fit body and some pronounced curves. But when it comes to what girls want in a guy, everything seems to be much more complex. Logically thinking, most girls will say they want a nice and kind guy, which is what we all know. The nice guy. The funny thing is, women know very well what guys want. That's why they use makeup, clothes that accentuate their bodies, and filters on photos. Girls play the game and play it well, just as it has always been since ancient times. That said, why do most men seem to have such a hard time understanding what girls want in a guy? What's the secret that attracts girls like a magnet? What is this one thing that even surpasses a man's visual appearance? That's what you're about to find out. But first, check out this study that will blow your mind. Psychologists from a university took photos of the same man sitting in two different cars. In one photo, the man was sitting in an old, beat-up car, a Ford Fiesta, and in the other photo, the same man was sitting inside a $900,000 Bentley. The girls who participated in the study were between 21 and 40 years old. When asked to rate the attractiveness of the same guy sitting in two different cars, the same man sitting in the Bentley was much more chosen than when he was sitting in the Ford Fiesta. They reversed the test and used the same tactic with photos of a woman for men to evaluate. As you can imagine, men didn't care about the car the girl was driving. That's because, as men, we judge girls almost exclusively by their facial and body appearance. You must be wondering what this has to do with attraction. You hear guys saying things like, "She only likes him because of his money," and according to this study, that's actually true. But it goes way beyond that. It's more than just having money. And in fact, this something extra almost completely eliminates the need to have money to attract girls. What if I told you that if you could master this one trait, you could flip the primal attraction switch in any girl without the need to have millions of dollars? It's important to understand that money is really just an indicator that girls use to assess the presence of something else, something much more important. You see, in many cases, people who have money have it because they have other traits that help them earn it. Obviously, this isn't true for everyone. Many people in society today receive money from inheritance or something similar and didn't even have to lift a finger to earn it. So, money doesn't always indicate the presence of desirable traits in a man. But in many cases it does. So, what does money really symbolize? What's the underlying trait that, once mastered, can attract any girl? The answer, my friends, is power. It's the one thing every man in the world is constantly striving to get more of. And it's something even more intoxicating than ultimate wealth. And the best thing about power is that, with the right knowledge, it's quite easy to develop. Stop and think. We all know those guys from school or our neighborhood who are constantly getting into trouble with the law. Most of them tend to look similar for some reason, and most people in school see them as the bad boys, or, in plain Portuguese, maloqueiros. These guys may never do anything meaningful in their lives, but girls can't seem to get enough of them. If you know nothing about how attraction really works, then for you, this is even more confusing. Like, why do girls get so attracted to these guys who seem to have nothing to offer? Obviously, they can't provide financial stability. And since they're constantly getting into trouble, they probably aren't good fathers either. But the trait all these guys have in common is power. Girls will always talk bad about these guys behind their backs to other girls and to the nice guys. But in their presence, you'll see them act completely differently. It's as if all logic is thrown out the window, and a switch is flipped inside the girl's brain, making her instantly feel attracted to the bad boy. The good news is that you don't need to become that kind of guy to attract women. In fact, even something as simple as becoming a firefighter or police officer can trigger their switch. But I would never recommend you go into these professions just to attract women. The point here is that power is the only thing that triggers the primal attraction switch in every girl. That doesn't mean it will lead to a good relationship, especially with a guy who's always getting into trouble. But the fact is, we can't deny that it works. Power is the only trait that all girls find irresistible. And the cool thing about it is that you don't even need to actually have it, but rather project it. Also, there's no denying that girls go crazy for guys who are very physically attractive. Girls also love famous guys, love guys who have tons of money. They even like guys who are very funny. But in relation to the power that attracts any girl, what makes this trait so powerful that girls will ignore almost everything about a guy and want to be with him? To understand this question, we need to go way back in time. Back to a time when humans were just learning to fend for themselves in the wild. Nowadays, when we're hungry, we simply drive a block or two to a restaurant or diner and grab something to eat. And when we're really lazy to leave the house, we can simply order a pizza or a burger. When was the last time you built a shelter in the jungle or hunted a boar to eat? If you're like most people, you probably never did that and probably never will have to. But if we go back to the distant past, these were things that humans really had to do. In that period, girls had to choose men who could do all these things and provide for them and their children. And during that time, if girls chose the wrong man, they didn't survive. The underlying trait here is power, but power is a loose term to describe men who were independent, smart, confident, and who could establish dominance. Power is really just a broad term for several important traits. And if I had to find one word to describe it best, I would say independence. Something you need to understand is that the opposite of power is neediness. And it's the worst trait that will drive away all girls. All the bad boys in school are considered attractive because they're independent. One of the most attractive things to a girl is a guy who wants a girl but doesn't need her. As men, we tend to always have attraction and feelings for girls. But the moment a girl feels that you need her instead of wanting her, her attraction will start to fade. There's a quote that says power is the greatest aphrodisiac. That's true. I've said in an older video that status is the thing that attracts women the most. Ultimately, status and power are basically the same thing. Imagine a girl starts working at a company. When she walks in at the company entrance, the doorman doesn't catch her attention much, and she has a minimum level of attraction for him. If we take exactly the same man, but this time we put him as a director of the company, surely the girl will look at him with a much higher level of attraction because now he exudes more dominance, status, and power. Above all, you must understand that power, when seen by a girl, can take on various different forms. For some girls, a powerful man is one who plays on a famous football team. For others, it's a policeman or someone who helps other people. In other situations, it can even be a teacher or just a man who's very independent. In essence, power is basically just a display to show girls that a man isn't needy. Even on a visual level, power is linked to everything. Think, a strong jawline is an indication of power. Beautiful eyes on a man produce powerful eye contact. Being tall and strong are other indications of power. When you're tall and strong, or even just strong, you have power over other men, and most guys will respect you more. It's not so much about the muscles themselves, but more about the power and respect you gain for having them. What makes many girls attracted to you? Studies show that girls feel a greater attraction to a guy with a more serious expression than to a guy with a constant smiling expression. If we look at this from an evolutionary standpoint, girls are attracted to powerful men on a primal level because they're more likely to take care of the girl and her children. Even though we live in a society where girls don't need to be protected from bears or wild animals, the part of their brains that determines attraction hasn't disappeared. And it's as strong now as it was thousands of years ago. And in many situations, that part of a girl's brain that ensures survival can completely override common sense and logic. Most of us men are on an endless quest to get power because subconsciously or intuitively we know we'll get many benefits from it. Not just with girls but in the world as a whole. In some studies it was found that men with dominant personalities were much more likely to have more girls throughout their lives than very handsome guys who had a weak and passive personality. Many men have money but fail to convey their power. That's why many tech magnates who've earned millions of dollars still don't do well with girls. On the other hand, you have guys who are constantly in and out of jail, enjoying time with all kinds of girls just because they're better at conveying power. What does this mean for you? It means that as long as you can project power, even if you're not really powerful yet, you can enjoy the benefits that come from being a powerful man. With charm, humor, social intelligence, proper body language, and other traits of an alpha male, you can become a powerful man in the eyes of everyone around you, even if you don't have millions of dollars. It's important to understand that power can be displayed from various different angles. And some of the most well-known examples are body language, social status, income, and physical appearance. The more angles you're able to master, the more you'll be able to flip the primal attraction switch in the mind of any woman. And in the next videos you'll learn everything you need to know to start projecting and creating power. You can get much more help by checking out some links in the description. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the bell. Give back with your like. Thank you, and until the next video.